Okay, so Hog 1 just called a bullseye visual. Bullseye 085 at 70. Yeah, 085 at 70. So that'd be due east of the bullseye. Yeah, there's two calling out. Yeah, Bandit 12 o'clock. That's that southern red cap right here. And I'll have TACVIEW up for you again on this mission, although I don't foresee anything happening other than just the tour. And I was just coming down to the TAD and just going over some other stuff since I have the time. And yeah, I appreciate missions like this because it does give me time to work with systems and to do things that I otherwise wouldn't get a chance to do. And when I said, I think I was talking about the TAD earlier and going TMS up short, and the term that I was looking for there was hook. So when you have the TAD up, TMS up short with your cursor over a target is going to hook that target. So then you get all kinds of additional information passed to you. For example, that aircraft is at 086 for 3. So that's, you know, in addition to tracking something in the targeting pod, here's a better, or not necessarily a better, but a different way of keeping track of aircraft you're supposed to be following around.
Off our right wing, you see the peak of Mount Irish. This will serve as a useful landmark location for call-outs. You will often hear this called out, like west.
And there's Mount Irish right down there to our right with Coyote Peak and Rachel, Nevada out beyond. It's a slightly different look than we got in the F-15 tour, down low like this, and you know, big landmark features are, to me at least, a little bit harder to figure out down low. So I'm glad that I have the experience of flying, well, not only the tour that I flew and recorded, but those first couple of missions in the F-15, because yeah, I know exactly where I'm at. I don't think there's any way that I would, maybe knock on wood, but I don't think there's any way that I'm going to get lost, at least in this area of the map. Okay, so Hog's calling out a whole lot of stuff here. So there's a good example. 062 for 27 off of the bullseye would be up here in the EC East area. Okay, very cool. Let me play around with the TAD a little bit and see if I know there's got to be a way to, you see, like for example, if I go and hook the bullseye, now I know that I am 073 for 63 miles from the bullseye. Now if I want to just have this measure from the bullseye, so let's see, hook all, how about hook cursor? I think that's the one that I'm looking for. Yeah, hook to the cursor. So now if I bring my cursor over, and those calls were more or less 067, 070-ish for about 30, and I can now put my cursor right there where those calls were coming in from and tell a lot about where these things are. Well, I can tell exactly where these things are. Just to the east of the range here, the Kiewicz range, between Kiewicz and the sort of the ridge that runs up from Belted, or in other words, right there, out there on the horizon. Okay, 086 for 12,000, that's a Bandit from Hog 1, same location. Okay, let me go ahead and disengage the autopilot and come back around to continue following these guys.
South of these big containers, during exercise, but being ahead of us, all mountains, starting here at 7,000 feet, so we have a better look around the area.
Okay, gotcha. Bald Mountain right there to our left. We have No Name Peak right out here in front of us. Let's see what else we have out there. Reveille Peak right out here. I think they're going to call all this stuff out as we go here. So I'm just going to go ahead and, like they said, descend to 7,000 and continue the tour as they pulled out a little bit in front of me. That's no big deal though. And I can just engage the autopilot and path hold right there. That'll continue to bring me on in. Okay, gotcha. So that was 087 for 50. So looking at the mark down here, 087 for 50 would actually be at Groom Lake. So that means that I have bandits right out here. In fact, not too far away from me at all. Possibly recovering down there at Groom Lake.
ahead of us is called Doji. It's just east of the mountain range that marks the Diva. We'll now come north and run up the east side of the Diva. The tallest peak to the west is called Delta Peak. The mountain range beyond that to the west is marked by quartzite. Quartzite will be common called strike back to the west. Take it down to 6,000 feet for some terrain asking against the red sands to the west.
Okay, gotcha. So I'm just going to follow you on down. I know that you're making a left or a right-hand turn at this point. And I have red smoke on. Did I just not notice that as the other calls were made out? I have red smoke up there on No Name Peak. Very cool. Maybe that's been there on all these features that have been called out, but that's I guess the first time that I've noticed it. Okay, there we go. I've got visual on this guy again. Just gotta come around here to the right. I'm going to go ahead and step to the next steer point so I have a vague idea of where we're headed. Okay, and this will work. I'll tell you what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to climb because I want to have a look out there, like I mentioned before, that I wanted to evaluate the model visibility settings. I have it set to small right now, and yeah, I think I'll probably even, well, I don't know, that's just barely perceptible. I might just turn these off because, yeah, zoomed out like this, from this far out, I don't necessarily, for my purposes, want to be able to see these locations. Yeah, like I can see some stuff right out there that, yeah, I would rather just sort of be using my pod for, so I'll probably just go on the next mission with the settings off.
On the eastern side, the red man pants are going to operate within it. Always keep your altitude above 12,000 feet flying over it. This is also a very visible and useful landmark just east of the Diva. Off my left wing is a gap in the mountain range that marks the Diva. To the west of this gap, a bulk of the red ground forces. Additional passing waypoint. Motorized rifle registry also SA-19 in his hands.
I don't know, this might work though. I might just go with the small settings. Well, I don't know, I'll evaluate it on the next mission. It won't be hard to find what I'm looking for on the next mission in either case. If I don't enjoy it, then I'll put the model visibility back up as I have the red smoke again out there over Rachel. Yeah, very cool. And yeah, I'm right there where I thought I was, coming back down on the 2 ship below us, so I'll just put her into a descent right here.
Reveille Peak off to the west. Reveille Peak also marks the north point of the red ground forces. The main mountain range west of Reveille Peak, to the northeast, is Kiewicz Peak.
There's Reveille Peak right there. There's the Bear Paw Lake right there. Kiewicz and the Kiewicz Peak out there beyond. And then looking across, there's Quartzite Mountain. That's going to be a landmark that we're going to be using later in the missions. Delta Peak right there. The Phoeba is just this ridge right here, just immediately to our left. Okay, let me go ahead and step to the next steer point, Bear Paw. And that's just, yeah, 10 miles right out there in front of us. Now I'll also put the nose back down so I can pick these guys up and follow them around like I'm supposed to.
We've now reached the north end of the Phoeba. On the west side of the Phoeba, where the Bear Paw flanks, you'll come east and climb back up to 15,000 feet.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, there's the Bear Paw Flats right there, just the other side of this ridge. Okay, so turning east, let me go ahead and go to the next steer point. That is Cole, out there beyond the Mount Worthington, Cole Valley, this big dry lake that we see out there on the horizon now.
Off my right wing is Worthington Peak. During the exercise, some of your northern egresses will be through here, whereas most of your ingress will be along Mount Irish and Farms, pushing from the south.
Okay, very cool. So yeah, let me see if I can get this guy again. I was playing around down here with my TAD trying to hook this guy to make it my SPI and then to slate everything on over. So let me try this one more time. And yeah, I think the angle is just such that I'm not going to be able to get a good track on that guy. They're just below me. They pulled out in front of me a little bit, so no big deal. As we have Coal Valley, big dry lake coming up right now under us. And yeah, there they are. They just popped up sort of from below me and from the left. That's just fine. Okay, there we go. So that's it for this mission. So I can end the mission now, or I can go ahead and RTB. So if you just want to skip ahead to the combat, feel free to skip ahead. I'm just going to continue to fly the approach here. So if you don't want to stick around, thanks again. I'll see you next time. And if you want to stick around, I've got steer point 11 selected. These guys are making their turn, passing this steer point. I'm just going to follow them on up and get on the approach.
Warning, autopilot.
Okay, so I have a good steady point track on lead right now, and yeah, this is the way it was supposed to work, or I guess if the angle difference between you and the aircraft isn't so great that it's constantly updating. So I've got just under a mile, he's 20 degrees off my nose to the left. So yeah, I'm just going to continue to follow him on in, although he's only a mile away. I don't really need to do this, but yeah, just for the heck of it, I'm going to continue to do that as I have the Highway 93 and Hiko and Crystal Springs, and then the Sally Corridor just out there in front of us, so I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so continuing to motor on along, I'm approaching Student Gap and right-hand turn again. I've just been continuing to troubleshoot my TAD. When I recycled JTRS power for the data link system, I got my wingman back, but I never did, now that I look at it a little bit closer, to get my old ship marker back, so I don't have my location depicted here. I've tried a couple of different things. I've tried changing the net, but I am back on, I'm supposed to be ID 01 on Group 5. That's how it's supposed to work, so everything is good there. I've tried going to the control page and doing a reset. That's had no effect. Change setting. I haven't tried anything here. Let me just make sure that everything is as expected. So yeah, everything is about as normal as I guess it could get right here. So let me just go ahead and return. As Hog 1, the flight in front of me, is making their right-hand turn. I've got another 30, 45 seconds to go until I need to do that, and then head back down the corridor. So I'm just thinking about other things that I can look at here. So if I go to the status page, and I'm going to have to go to the next page for the EPLRS system, everything is showing green and valid. I have no MFLs that could potentially tell me there's something faulty with that system. Now let me go to the test menu, if I even have a test available for the EPLRS. Actually, let me go ahead and try to reset, which is not going to do anything for me. And that's about all I can think of to try on the status page. Let me go back to the TAD. Now, I don't think it's going to have anything to do with it. Actually, let me go ahead and do some navigation here. So let me go ahead and step to the next steer point, disengage the autopilot, and steer point 12, and this will be the entry to the Sally Corridor. Down here, I believe at Texas Lake. There we go, Texas Lake directly off our nose now. Let me just sort of get it in the right ballpark there and engage the autopilot in path hold mode. Now, I've still got the track on the lead aircraft out there, so he's already 7 miles away, isn't he? Yeah, I have been heads down here doing some stuff with the TAD and the data link for a while now, I guess. Let me try this. Let me go to the IFFCC test menu. I mean, I don't think that's going to have anything to do with this, and see if there's anything I can do or reset down here. Now, let me go to the bit and see if there's anything like a data link bit that I can do. So GCAS and VMU, that's not going to do anything for me. Let me try the bit fault display, and I've got no faults for any of the LRUs. Yeah, everything is just fine with the system. I'll go ahead and exit back out of that. And let me see, I don't really want to do anything else there. And yeah, nothing else here I would imagine would have anything to do with this. Let me just go A-10C back on, and I'll just take it as is. But I don't know, that's a small mystery. It could just be something simple with my setup. But yeah, well, anyway. And I guess in a case like this, where if I as the pilot had something that I just couldn't figure out and I just didn't know what was wrong with it, I would, on approach to Nellis actually, I would radio into Squadron Ops with a status. So, you know, if there's nothing wrong with the aircraft, it would be Code 1. So the guys on the ground would know that they just need to recover you, do the through-flight inspection with a BPO pre or whatever, fuel the aircraft back up, reload the weapons, and it would be able to go on its way. If I had a maintenance discrepancy that, something like this, where, yeah, there's something wrong with it, but it's not going to keep me from accomplishing the mission, I would squawk in as Code 2 on this one, just to give the guys a heads up that, hey, there's something wrong with the aircraft, but it's not serious enough that it's going to, you know, really impede me from being able to accomplish the mission. You can still fly the aircraft, but whenever the aircraft is down for a longer period, it will be looked into. And then if something was just completely wrong, you know, if I just couldn't get the targeting pod to come up, or if I actually did have fault codes on those pages I was just checking, and then I would squawk in Code 3, that would just give everybody a heads up and, you know, let the maintainers start to think about what they would need to troubleshoot and start to think about, you know, who to put on the problem as far as a maintainer, who to assign to it. You could also, you know, get a little bit ahead and get a crew out there with the right tools and the right equipment and the right tech data, maintenance manuals to troubleshoot the problem. And also look into substituting an aircraft for that next sortie. You know, one of the spare aircraft for this sortie could be used in the place of an aircraft that comes in Code 3 with a maintenance deficiency on the next sortie. Or, you know what, in fact, in this case specifically, I would probably squawk Code 1 but ask for an avionics troop to meet me at the aircraft just to talk through this, because I almost guarantee 99 times out of 100, if I was looking at this specific problem, just completely removing aircraft power and then just in chocks fire up the APU and spin the system back up again, I guarantee this will clear itself out. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to press on here and get set up on the approach and be back in a bit. And 2 has another bandit inside at 3 o'clock, probably a MiG-29 recovering a Groom Lake again, but nothing that's for us to worry about. We're outside the play area coming down, so we're not going to get jumped or anything. I've still got those A-10s in sight. They're a little bit to the right of my track, but there's the lead and the wingman right out there over, let me see, the Alamo range. Let me see, no, I guess they're not as far away as they look, I guess, from here. They're this side of the ridge, which looks, yeah, just looks magnificent with those shadows now. You gotta admit, that does look pretty sweet. So I'm going to continue on here, and I'll be back in a little bit.